Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional marketing, legal, or financial advice. Building and scaling a business involves inherent risks, and historical trends or case studies do not represent potential outcomes for every individual situation. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence and consult with qualified professionals before making any significant business or investment decisions. In the next 10 minutes, a restaurant in the United States will close its doors for the last time. It might have the best Wagyu steak in Manhattan, a chef trained in the finest kitchens of Paris, and a location with high foot traffic. Yet, despite the quality of the food, the tables remain empty. Simultaneously, 3 blocks away, a small, vibrant taco shop with no traditional advertising budget has a line stretching around the corner, with a 3-hour wait time that people are actually excited to endure. The difference between these two establishments is not the secret sauce or the price point. The difference is that one understands the digital nervous system of the modern American consumer, and the other is still waiting for the local newspaper to run a review. We are currently witnessing the most aggressive shift in hospitality history. The old guard of the restaurant industry is being dismantled by the power of social media. And if you are not leveraging these platforms with surgical precision, your business is essentially invisible. This is not about posting a grainy photo of a salad once a week. This is about a fundamental transformation in how food is discovered, consumed, and shared in the United States. Today, we are beginning a deep dive masterclass into how U.S. restaurants are winning the war for attention. By the end of this series, you will understand the exact mechanics of viral food culture, the psychology behind why certain dishes become digital sensations, and the data-driven strategies that top-tier brands use to turn likes into long-term loyalty. The problem for many restaurant owners today is that the barrier to entry for attention has never been higher, while the attention span of the consumer has never been shorter. In 2026, the average American spends over 2.5 hours a day on social media platforms. For the hospitality sector, this means the first bite of your food no longer happens at the table. It happens on a smartphone screen. If your digital presence does not evoke a visceral, sensory response within the first 3 seconds of a scroll, you have lost that customer to a competitor who understands the eyes-first economy. This masterclass is designed to solve the mystery of the algorithm and provide a roadmap for any establishment, from a high-end bistro to a local food truck, to dominate their local market. We are going to break down the historical trends that led us here and examine the case studies of brands that have seen 300% increases in year-over-year revenue simply by optimizing their social-first approach. To understand why this is happening, we have to look at the death of the traditional food critic. For decades, a restaurant's success in cities like Chicago, San Francisco, or New Orleans was dictated by a handful of professional reviewers. Today, every single person with a smartphone is a critic, an influencer, and a broadcaster. This democratization of influence has created a landscape where social proof is the only currency that matters. When a potential diner searches for best pasta near me, they aren't looking at your website's professional gallery anymore. They are looking at the tagged photos on Instagram and the food talk videos on TikTok to see what the food actually looks like when it hits the table. They are looking for the steam rising off the plate, the cheese pull, and the authentic reaction of a real person. If your restaurant does not provide an Instagrammable moment, you are missing out on millions of dollars in free organic marketing. Historical trends show that restaurants that lean into user-generated content, or UGC, see a significantly higher retention rate among Gen Z and millennial diners. These demographics represent the largest spending power in the U.S. food and beverage industry. They do not want to be sold to. They want to be part of an experience that is worth sharing. This is why we see the rise of algorithm-first menu design. This isn't just about making food taste good. It is about designing dishes that are visually arresting. Think about the viral giant soup dumplings, or the gold leaf burgers that dominated feeds a few years ago. While those might seem like gimmicks, they were calculated business moves designed to trigger the social media sharing loop. When a customer films your food and posts it to their story, they are providing a testimonial that is 10 times more effective than any paid advertisement, because it carries the weight of a personal recommendation. However, winning on social media in the US market requires more than just pretty pictures. It requires a deep understanding of platform-specific strategies. What works on a Facebook community page for a suburban family restaurant in Ohio will not work for a trendy cocktail bar in West Hollywood using Instagram Reels. We are going to analyze the step-by-step details of how to tailor content for each demographic. For instance, we will explore how top brands are using behind-the-scenes content to build trust. In an era where consumers are increasingly concerned about sourcing, sustainability, and the treatment of staff, showing the face of the chef, the morning delivery from the local farm, and the preparation process creates an emotional connection that transcends the transaction. We will also look at the data behind the halo effect of influencer partnerships. Case studies have shown that a single visit from a well-aligned micro-influencer, someone with a dedicated local following of 10,000 to 50,000 people, can result in a surge of bookings that lasts for weeks. We will break down exactly how to identify these influencers, how to approach them without sounding like a corporate robot, and how to structure tasting events that are optimized for content creation. This isn't about giving away free food. It is about strategic asset acquisition. One high-quality video produced by a creator can be repurposed across your own social channels, your website, and your email marketing, providing a massive return on the initial investment of a meal. Furthermore, we must address the new search engine optimization. In 2026, TikTok has become the primary search engine for the under 30 demographic when looking for places to eat. If your restaurant's name, location, and signature dish aren't keyword optimized within your social media captions and bios, you are effectively opting out of the modern search ecosystem. We will go into the technical details of how to use geotagging and localized hashtags to ensure that when someone in your city is hungry, your kitchen is the first thing they see. This deep dive is not just about survival. It is about thriving in a hyper-competitive market. We are going to discuss the content flywheel, a system where your social media presence drives foot traffic, that foot traffic generates more social media content, and that content in turn drives even more foot traffic. It is a self-sustaining cycle that, when executed correctly, reduces your marketing costs to near zero while your revenue continues to climb. We will also touch upon the integration of AI in social media management, from using predictive analytics to know which menu items will trend, to utilizing automated engagement tools that ensure no customer comment or inquiry goes unanswered. The promise of this masterclass is simple. By the time we reach part 10, you will have the blueprint to transform your restaurant from a local secret into a digital powerhouse. We will provide you with the tools to analyze your own metrics, understand your audience's behavior, and outmaneuver competitors who are still stuck in the marketing tactics of 2015. The U.S. restaurant industry is evolving at breakneck speed, and the gap between the digital leaders and the laggards is widening every day. It is time to ensure you are on the winning side of that divide. Let's get to work. To understand how the most successful restaurants in the United States are capturing the market in 2026, we have to look past the kitchen and into the architecture of the dining room itself. This is what industry experts call aesthetic engineering. Imagine a restaurant owner named Marcus who operates a mid-sized Italian bistro in downtown Denver. For years, Marcus focused entirely on the traditional pillars of hospitality: food quality, service speed, and physical comfort. Yet, by 2024, he noticed a strange trend. His younger customers were spending the first 5 minutes of their meal not looking at the menu, but looking through their phone screens, trying to find a corner of the restaurant that did not look drab or poorly lit. Marcus realized that in the modern economy, your restaurant is not just a place that serves food. It is a film set where your customers are the directors. By 2026, the historical trends in the U.S. market have shifted toward what we call the Instagrammable anchor. This is a deliberate, high-contrast design element specifically created to be the backdrop of a viral photo or video. Take the case study of a boutique taco chain in Austin, Texas. They did not just paint their walls a trendy color. They invested in a custom, three-dimensional neon installation that featured a rotating seasonal slogan. This single wall became the most photographed location in the city. The data shows that when a customer takes a photo in front of a recognizable anchor and tags the location, the organic reach of that single post can outperform $1,000 in paid digital advertising. The step-by-step process for implementing an anchor starts with identifying the dead zones in your floor plan. These are the corners where no one wants to sit. By installing high-impact wallpaper, a living moss wall, or a strategically placed neon sign, you turn a low-value seat into the most coveted spot in the building. The engineering does not stop at the walls, it extends to the very physics of the lighting. In the past, high-end American dining leaned toward dim, moody yellow-toned lighting. In 2026, that is a recipe for digital invisibility. Modern smartphone sensors, while advanced, still struggle with low light noise and yellow color casts. which can make even the most expensive Wagyu beef look gray and unappetizing. Successful U.S. restaurants are now installing what is known as 5G lighting. Not the cellular network, but a 5-point gradient system. This involves using high CRI, color rendering index, LED tracks that mimic natural daylight without being harsh. By maintaining a color temperature between 3000 K and 3500 K, restaurants ensure that the reds of a tomato sauce and the greens of a fresh pesto pop with saturated brilliance on a smartphone screen. Consider the case study of a brunch spot in Scottsdale, Arizona. They redesigned their overhead lighting to include diffused, downward-facing panels directly over each table. The result was a shadow-free environment that allowed every customer to take a professional-grade food photo without needing external equipment. Within 6 months of this lighting overhaul, the restaurant saw a 40% increase in user-generated content tags. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of removing the friction between the customer and the content creation process. When you make it easy for people to look good and make their food look good, the potential outcomes include a self-perpetuating cycle of social proof. Now, let us look at the menu itself through the lens of aesthetic engineering. We are seeing a move toward the kinetic menu. This is a historical trend that evolved from the simple cheese pull videos of the early 2020s. In 2026, the most successful dishes are those that have a built-in movement or reveal. Imagine a dessert at a high-end restaurant in Chicago where a warm chocolate ganache is poured over a delicate sphere, melting it away to reveal a hidden centerpiece. This is not just a culinary technique. It is a 30-second script for a TikTok video. Every step of that dish, the pour, the melt, the reveal, is a hook that keeps a viewer watching. Step by step, restaurant owners are now working with culinary designers to ensure that at least 3 items on their menu are kinetic. This could be as simple as a cocktail that changes color when an acid is added, or a tableside preparation of a Caesar salad where the dressing is emulsified in front of the guest. The psychology here is rooted in the dopamine hit of the unexpected. When a customer sees something move, their brain signals interest. When that interest is captured on video and shared, it triggers the fear of missing out or FOMO in the viewer. Case studies of viral pop-up restaurants in New York City show that dishes with a high kinetic value have a 250% higher likelihood of being shared compared to static dishes, even if the static dishes are rated higher in blind taste tests. This brings us to a hard truth of the 2026 landscape: the camera eats first. If your dish does not have a visual climax, it does not exist in the digital world. We also need to discuss the concept of the social first menu audit. This is a detailed process where you view every plate through a 9/16 vertical frame. Are the colors contrasting? Is there enough height on the plate to create depth? Are the garnishes vibrant or are they wilting under the heat lamps? A restaurant in Miami recently implemented a rule where no plate leaves the kitchen if it does not pass a visual check under a simulated smartphone light. This might sound extreme, but the historical trends indicate that visual consistency is the foundation of brand identity. If 10 different people post your signature burger, and it looks different in every photo, you lose the ability to build a recognizable visual brand. Beyond the visuals, we have to look at the data-driven strategy of the drop culture in hospitality. Borrowing from the fashion industry, U.S. restaurants are winning by using social media to announce limited-time, high-scarcity menu drops. Imagine a character named Elena who runs a bakery in Seattle. Instead of having a static menu of 12 muffins, she uses her Instagram stories to announce a secret, 48-hour flavor drop that is only available to those who show a specific digital coupon found in her bio. This creates a sense of urgency and exclusivity. Historical trends show that scarcity-based marketing on social media can drive a 60% increase in midweek traffic, which is traditionally the slowest period for the industry. Elena's case study proves that you don't need 1 million followers to create a stampede. You just need a dedicated local community and a reason for them to act immediately. The step-by-step detail of a successful drop involves a 3-day tease, reveal, and launch sequence. On day 1, you post a blurred image or a cryptic behind-the-scenes clip. On day 2, you show the finished product in high definition, focusing on the sensory details, the crunch, the steam, the texture. On day 3, you launch with a clear call to action. This sequence builds anticipation and trains your audience to pay attention to your notifications. In a world where every business is competing for the same few seconds of attention, training your audience to watch your content is the ultimate competitive advantage. However, even with the perfect lighting, the most kinetic menu, and a flawless drop strategy, there is a hidden variable that most restaurant owners completely overlook: It is the invisible force that determines whether your content gets pushed to 500 people or 5 million. It is the reason why a hole-in-the-wall noodle shop in Queens can suddenly have a line around the block while a multi-million-dollar steakhouse sits empty. This variable is the deep code interaction between your physical space and the short-form video algorithms that now dictate the dining habits of the entire American population. In the next part, we are going to crack that code. We are going into the restricted world of algorithm manipulation, showing you the exact posting times, the specific audio triggers, and the metadata secrets that the top 1% of US restaurants used to stay at the top of the For You page. If you think you understand how TikTok and Reels work, prepare to have your perspective completely shifted. To understand the mechanics of the algorithm in 2026, you have to stop thinking like a chef and start thinking like a data scientist. The short-form video platforms that dominate the American landscape, specifically TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, no longer rely on who you follow. They rely on what they call interest-based indexing. This means that if someone in Omaha, Nebraska, has been watching videos about street food in Thailand, the algorithm is primed to show them a high-quality video of a local Omaha fusion spot, even if that person has never heard of the restaurant before. To win this game, you must master the 3 pillars of the 2026 algorithm: high-fidelity audio triggers, retention-focused editing, and semantic metadata optimization. Let us look at the case study of Jackson, who operates a high-volume barbecue pit in North Carolina. In 2024, Jackson was struggling. He was posting photos of his brisket every day, but his reach was stagnant. In 2026, he shifted his entire strategy to focus on the crunch factor. Jackson realized that the algorithm's secret weapon is the stop and listen metric. When a user is scrolling through a silent or music-heavy feed, and suddenly hears the visceral, high-definition sound of a knife piercing through a perfectly charred brisket crust, their thumb pauses. That pause is a signal to the algorithm that the content is high value. Jackson invested in a directional shotgun microphone that plugs directly into his smartphone. He stopped using trending pop songs and started using raw, organic ASMR. The sound of the fire crackling, the thud of the cleaver on the wood, and the sizzle of the fat hitting the coals. Historical trends show that videos utilizing high-quality, original audio triggers have a 35% higher completion rate than those using generic licensed music. Jackson's potential outcomes were transformative. Within 3 months, his North Carolina pit became a destination for travelers across the East Coast who specifically cited the sound of his brisket as the reason they drove 5 hours to see him. The second pillar is retention-focused editing, specifically the concept of the infinite loop. In 2026, the most powerful metric for a US restaurant is not just the view count but the rewatch rate. The algorithm interprets a rewatch as a sign that the content is so compelling it deserves to be pushed to a much wider audience. Imagine a pasta bar in New York City called Serafina's. Instead of showing a traditional beginning, middle, and end, they use a technique called the seamless transition. The video might start with a fork twirling a massive pile of carbonara into the camera lens. The video ends exactly as the fork reaches the lens again, creating a visual loop that feels never-ending. When a viewer doesn't realize the video has restarted, they end up watching it 1.5 or 2 times. This tricks the algorithm into seeing a 150% retention rate, which triggers a massive viral push. The step-by-step detail for this requires planning your first and last shot to be identical in framing and lighting. This is the difference between a video that gets 5,000 views and one that explodes to 5 million. Beyond the visuals and audio, we have to talk about the death of the hashtag and the rise of semantic metadata. In 2026, the search bar on social media has effectively replaced traditional search engines for the majority of the US population under the age of 40. If a user types in spicy chicken sandwich in Nashville, the platforms are not just looking at hashtags like #foodie or #NashvilleEats. They are using AI to scan the actual video frames, the text on the screen, and the spoken words in the audio. Case studies of successful Nashville hot chicken joints show that they are now winning by being hyper-specific in their captions and on-screen text. Instead of writing something generic like lunch is served, they use keywords like the spiciest Nashville hot chicken with pickles and slaw. This tells the platform exactly who the content is for. They also utilize the hidden metadata by adding alt text to every post, describing the textures and colors for the AI to index. This ensures that when a hungry diner is searching for a specific craving, your restaurant appears as the definitive answer. We also see a major shift in the US market toward the reply video strategy. In the past, restaurants would simply like a comment or reply with a thank you. In 2026, The winners are using video replies to build a community. Imagine if a customer leaves a comment asking if your secret sauce is actually spicy. Instead of a text response, you film a 15-second clip of the chef tasting the sauce, breaking into a sweat, and laughing. This video reply doesn't just answer one person. It becomes a new piece of content that the algorithm can push to a whole new audience. It shows personality, authenticity, and responsiveness. Historical trends indicate that brands that prioritize video-based engagement see a 50% increase in customer loyalty and repeat visits. People don't just want to eat at a restaurant. They want to eat at Jackson's Place or Serafina's Place. They want a relationship with the brand. Another critical element is the 2026 trend of the livestream kitchen cam. We are seeing restaurants across the United States, from sushi bars in Los Angeles to bakeries in Maine, setting up permanent livestream stations. This is not about a polished production. It is about transparency and the slow content movement. A bakery might livestream the entire 6-hour process of proofing and baking sourdough. While the viewership at any given moment might be low, the cumulative watch time is massive. More importantly, it creates a sense of trust. When a customer can see the cleanliness of your kitchen and the craftsmanship of your team in real time, the psychological barrier to trying a new place disappears. Case studies show that restaurants with a consistent livestream presence have a higher conversion rate from digital follower to physical diner, because the social proof is undeniable and unedited. Furthermore, we must address the geometric growth of the share-to-save ratio. In 2026, a save is worth more than a like. When a user saves your video, they are essentially bookmarking it for a future visit. To trigger this, you must provide utility. This is where the informational deep dive comes in. Restaurants are winning by sharing their recipes, or at least parts of them. You might think that giving away your secrets would hurt your business, but the opposite is true. When a steakhouse in Dallas posts a detailed video on how to perfectly sear a ribeye at home, they aren't losing a customer. They are establishing themselves as the ultimate authority on steak. The viewer saves the video to try it later, and the next time they want a professional-grade steak without the cleanup, that Dallas steakhouse is the only place they consider. This level of algorithmic mastery is what separates the modern titans from the fading relics. You are no longer just competing with the restaurant next door. You are competing with every piece of content on a user's phone. The goal is to occupy the space between entertainment and service. But even with a perfect handle on the algorithm, there is a looming challenge that can destroy even the most viral brand in a matter of hours. It is the rise of the digital shadow review and the weaponization of public sentiment. In the next part, we are going to dive into the high-stakes world of reputation management in the social media era. We will explore how to handle a viral negative trend, how to flip a critic into a brand ambassador, and the secret way top US restaurants use their own staff as an army of micro-influencers to dominate the local conversation. The algorithm gets them in the door, but what happens next determines if they ever come back. In the hyper-accelerated landscape of 2026, the traditional 5-star rating system has been effectively replaced by the sentiment velocity metric. This is the speed and volume at which positive or negative sentiment spreads across social layers. When a customer walks into a restaurant today, they are not just there to eat, they are there to broadcast. This means your reputation management is no longer a back-office task performed on a laptop once a week. It is a live 24-hour defensive and offensive operation. To understand the stakes, imagine a diner named Michael who visits a popular gastropub in Atlanta. Michael receives a burger that is slightly overcooked. In 2015, he might have told the server or left a disgruntled Yelp review that stayed buried. In 2026, Michael films a 10-second high-definition clip of the dry patty, overlays a trending audio track about disappointment, and uploads it to his 3,000 followers. Because of the interest-based algorithm we discussed in the previous part, that video is served to 50,000 people in the Atlanta area within 4 hours. By dinner time, the gastropub's reservation app shows a 30% spike in cancellations. This is the reality of the digital shadow review. Historical trends show that the most successful US restaurants have moved away from defensive PR and toward what we call radical transparency and rapid redemption. Take the case study of a high-end sushi bar in San Francisco that faced a viral video claiming their fish was not as fresh as advertised. Instead of sending a cease and desist or ignoring the post, the owner launched a campaign titled the 4 a.m. Receipt. For 1 week, they posted timestamp videos of their fish arriving at the docks, the procurement process, and the chef's quality control checks. They tagged the original critic and invited them back for a live-streamed kitchen tour. Potential outcomes of this strategy include not only the neutralization of the negative sentiment, but the conversion of the critic into a brand advocate. The data suggests that a successfully resolved public complaint creates a higher level of long-term customer loyalty than a standard positive experience because it demonstrates the human integrity behind the brand. Step by step, a 2026 reputation management protocol looks like this. First, you must implement AI-driven sentiment monitoring. These tools scan video captions, audio transcripts, and even the comments sections of local food influencers to find mentions of your restaurant before they reach a critical mass. Second, you establish a 2-hour response window. If a negative video begins to trend, you must acknowledge it publicly within 2 hours. This does not mean you apologize immediately. It means you acknowledge that you have seen the feedback and are investigating. Third, you move the conversation from the public feed to a private channel while maintaining a public trail. You comment on the video, thanking the creator for the feedback, and tell them to check their direct messages. This shows the algorithm and the public that you are proactive. Finally, once the issue is resolved, you ask the creator to post a follow-up. In the world of 2026, the redemption arc is one of the most powerful content structures for driving engagement. Now, let us transition to the most potent weapon in a restaurant's social arsenal: the Employee Advocate Program. For decades, the hospitality industry viewed staff phones as a distraction. In 2026, the winners are viewing those phones as high-fidelity broadcasting stations. People do not trust corporations, they trust other people. This is the era of the human behind the apron. Imagine a character named Sarah who owns a bustling seafood bistro in San Diego. Sarah realized that her head chef, her lead bartender, and even her most charismatic server had their own growing social media followings. Instead of banning filming, Sarah created a formalized employee creator program. She provided her staff with high-quality lighting rigs in the break room, shared the restaurant's high-speed Wi-Fi, and most importantly, gave them the creative freedom to show the raw, unpolished side of the business. The step-by-step details of Sarah's program are a blueprint for modern hospitality. She established clear brand guardrails: no filming of proprietary financial data and no filming in guest-only private areas. Beyond that, the staff was encouraged to document their craft. The head chef started a series called The Daily Catch, showing the intricate process of deboning a whole tuna. The lead bartender created a mixology series where he tested new cocktails that weren't on the menu yet, asking his followers to vote on the names. This created a parasocial relationship between the customers and the staff. When guests arrived at the restaurant, they didn't ask for a table. They asked if the bartender had decided on the name for the spicy mezcal drink they saw on TikTok the night before. This level of connection is something no amount of paid advertising can buy. Case studies of this employee-first approach show a 20% reduction in staff turnover and a 15% increase in average check size. This is because the staff feels like stakeholders in the brand's digital success. When a server's video of a new dessert goes viral, they feel a sense of pride and ownership. Moreover, the restaurant gains multiple points of entry into the algorithm. Instead of one brand account trying to fight for attention, you have 10 different creators, each reaching a different niche within the local community. The bartender reaches the late-night crowd. The pastry chef reaches the brunch crowd. The host reaches the local lifestyle enthusiasts. This creates a multi-layered digital presence that blankets the local market. We must also discuss the concept of the community defender. In 2026, the most successful U.S. restaurants have cultivated a core group of superfans who act as a volunteer moderation team. Imagine if your restaurant has a dedicated Discord server or a private Instagram broadcast channel where your top 500 customers hang out. When a malicious or false review starts to circulate, these superfans often find and debunk it before your management team even wakes up. This is the ultimate form of social proof. It is the digital equivalent of a regular at the bar sticking up for the establishment when a stranger starts complaining. Building this community requires more than just good food. It requires giving your customers a sense of belonging. This involves hosting exclusive social media-only events, giving them early access to new menu items, and acknowledging their loyalty publicly on your main feeds. However, even with a flawless reputation and an army of employee creators, there is a ceiling to organic growth. The most sophisticated restaurants in the United States know that to truly dominate, they must master the art of the strategic partnership. We are not talking about the old-fashioned way of paying an influencer $500 for a post. That era is dead. In 2026, the game is about tiered influencer ecosystems and performance-based collaboration. In the next part, we are going to break down the exact math behind these partnerships. We will explore why the mega influencer with 1 million followers is often a waste of your budget, and why the micro creator with 5,000 followers is the secret to a fully booked weekend. We will look at the specific contracts, the conversion tracking pixels, and the invisible PR maneuvers that turn a single influencer visit into a year-long revenue stream. If you think influencer marketing is just about free meals, you are about to see the cold, hard data that says otherwise. The misconception that influencer marketing is an expensive vanity project is the reason so many traditional US restaurants are failing to scale their digital footprint. In 2026, the data shows that the return on investment for influencer partnerships is nearly 3 times higher than traditional display ads, but only when executed with a tiered strategy. Let us look at the case study of Tyler, a restaurant owner in Portland, Oregon, who operates a high-concept wood-fired pizza kitchen. Tyler spent $5,000 on a single post from a national food influencer with 2 million followers. The result was a massive spike in likes from people in London, New York, and Tokyo, but exactly 0 new customers through his door in Portland. This is the dilution effect of macro influencers. Their followers are broad, but their geographic relevance is thin. Tyler shifted his strategy toward a tiered influencer ecosystem, and the potential outcomes were a complete reversal in his customer acquisition cost. The first tier of this ecosystem is the nano-influencer, typically defined in 2026 as someone with 1,000 to 5,000 followers who live within a 5-mile radius of the restaurant. These are not professional creators. They are local foodies, college students, or neighborhood advocates. Historical trends show that these accounts have an engagement rate of over 10%, compared to the 1% seen by mega celebrities. Tyler's step-by-step process involved identifying 20 of these local voices and offering them a permanent 20% discount card in exchange for 2 organic mentions on their Instagram stories per month. This cost Tyler almost nothing in out-of-pocket cash, but it ensured that his pizza was appearing in the feeds of his immediate neighbors every single week. This creates the illusion of omnipresence. When a local resident sees 3 different friends posting about the same pizza in the same week, the social proof becomes undeniable. The second tier is the micro-creator, those with 10,000 to 50,000 followers who specialize in the local city scene. These are the professional researchers of the food world. To work with them, Tyler moved away from the one-off post and toward performance-based collaboration. Instead of a flat fee, he offered a smaller base fee plus a commission for every reservation booked through a unique tracking link in their bio. In 2026, sophisticated reservation platforms like Resay or OpenTable allow for direct integration with social media tracking pixels. This means Tyler could see exactly how much revenue a specific creator generated. If a creator's video resulted in 20 bookings for a Tuesday night, that creator was paid a bonus. This aligns the incentives of the restaurant and the influencer. The influencer is no longer just posting a photo. They are actively selling the experience because their compensation depends on the results. Imagine if you took this a step further by creating a collaborative menu item. This is a high-level strategy used by top US brands like Sweetgreen and Chipotle to drive massive traffic. Tyler partnered with a local Portland fitness influencer to create the high-protein pesto pizza. The influencer didn't just post about it, they were part of the design process. They shared the behind-the-scenes footage of the tastings, the failures, and the final product launch. This gave the influencer a sense of ownership and gave their audience a reason to visit that felt exclusive. Historical trends indicate that collaborative items can account for up to 15% of total sales during the campaign period. The data shows that followers are significantly more likely to purchase something when they feel they had an indirect hand in its creation. Now, let us talk about the invisible PR maneuvers that turn these visits into long-term revenue. This involves the concept of whitelisting or creator licensing. When a micro-influencer creates a high-performing video about your restaurant, you should not just let it sit on their page. In 2026, the most successful restaurants negotiate the rights to use that content in their own paid ad campaigns. This is known as whitelisting. Tyler would take a video from a local creator and run it as a targeted ad to everyone within a 10-mile radius of his shop. Because the ad looks like a recommendation from a real person rather than a corporate commercial, the click-through rate is historically 40% higher. You are essentially using the influencer's face and voice to build trust with a cold audience, then using paid media to ensure that the content reaches more than just the influencer's current followers. The technical step-by-step for this requires a clear influencer brief. You cannot just give a creator a free meal and hope for the best. You must provide them with the 3 visual hooks they need to hit. For Tyler, the brief was simple. Hook 1, the cheese pull. Hook 2, the steam coming off the crust. Hook 3, the influencer's first bite reaction. By giving the creator these specific targets, Tyler ensured that the resulting content was optimized for the algorithm's retention metrics. He also provided them with a list of keywords to include in their captions and spoken audio, such as best pizza in Portland or late night sourdough, to ensure the content was indexed correctly by the search algorithms we discussed in Part 3. Another critical maneuver is the shadow seeding of local news. When a group of influencers all post about the same new dish or event at your restaurant, it creates a digital buzz that local news editors and lifestyle journalists are trained to monitor. In 2026, the line between social media and traditional media is almost non-existent. By saturating the social feeds of a specific city, you are essentially pitching the local news without ever sending a press release. Case studies of a barbecue joint in Austin show that after seeding 10 micro-influencers over a weekend, they received 3 inquiries from local TV stations and 2 features in city magazines by the following Tuesday. This is the multiplier effect of social media. One well-executed influencer campaign can trigger a wave of organic traditional media coverage that is worth tens of thousands of dollars. To manage this at scale, you need a tracking and attribution dashboard. In 2026, you cannot manage 20 influencers with a spreadsheet. You use specialized software that tracks every tag, every mention, and every conversion in real time. This allows you to identify which creators are actually driving revenue and which ones are just providing vanity metrics like likes and comments. Tyler used this data to prune his list, focusing his budget on the 5 creators who consistently drove the highest average check size. He discovered that a stay-at-home mom with 3,000 followers was actually driving more families to his restaurant on Sunday afternoons than a lifestyle model with 50,000 followers. This is the granular level of detail required to win in the current market. We must also consider the legal and ethical framework of these partnerships. With the 2026 updates to FTC guidelines in the United States, transparency is non-negotiable. However, top restaurants are finding ways to make disclosures feel like part of the story. Instead of a hidden hashtag, they use on-screen text that says "Thanks to Tyler's Pizza for the invite." This maintains the trust of the audience while staying compliant. Authenticity is the only currency that doesn't devalue. If an influencer's audience feels like they are being lied to, the damage to the restaurant's reputation can be permanent. This tiered, data-driven approach to influencer marketing is how the modern American restaurant builds a moat around its business. It creates a diverse stream of traffic that doesn't rely on a single platform or a single viral moment. It is a repeatable, scalable system for growth. But while influencers can get people to consider your restaurant, and the algorithm can get your food in front of their eyes, there is a technical side of the business that is often the difference between a one-time visitor and a lifetime customer. It is the world of the frictionless digital funnel. In the next part, we are going to dive into the high-conversion world of social commerce integration. We will look at how the top 5% of U.S. restaurants are using direct-to-table ordering, loyalty-integrated messaging, and the psychology of the frictionless checkout to turn a casual scroller into a paying customer in under 60 seconds. If your social media doesn't have a direct, one-click path to a transaction, you are leaving money on the table. We will show you exactly how to pick that money up. The transition from being a viral sensation to a profitable enterprise in 2026 depends entirely on closing the gap between discovery and the transaction. This is the era of the frictionless digital funnel, where the distance between a customer seeing a dish and paying for it must be measured in seconds, not minutes. To understand why this is the defining battleground for U.S. restaurants, we must look at the psychological concept of decision fatigue. In a world where the average American is bombarded with thousands of digital impressions daily, every extra click required to book a table or order a meal is a 20% drop-off point in the conversion funnel. Successful establishments are winning by removing these hurdles entirely. Imagine a diner named David sitting in a home office in Chicago. It is 5:30 p.m., and he is scrolling through a short-form video feed. He comes across a high-definition 30-second clip of a local high-end burger joint. The video features the specific audio triggers we discussed in Part 3, the sizzle of the patty and the crunch of the toasted brioche. In 2023, David would have had to exit the app, open a browser, search for the restaurant name, navigate to their website, find the reservation or ordering page, and manually enter his credit card information. By the time he reached the third step, the probability of a distraction, a text message, an email, or a different video was nearly 80%. In 2026, the winners have eliminated this journey. David simply taps a gold-colored button embedded directly into the video interface. His biometric data authenticates the payment, and his reservation is confirmed within the app environment. This is the social-to-stomach pipeline. Historical trends show that restaurants implementing direct in-app commerce see a massive increase in impulse visits. A case study of a trendy ramen shop in Seattle illustrates this perfectly. By integrating their point-of-sale system, or POS, directly with their Instagram and TikTok profiles, they allowed users to order for pickup without ever leaving the social platform. The potential outcomes included a 45% increase in midweek lunch orders. The step-by-step detail of this integration involves using an API bridge between the restaurant's management software and the social platform's commerce engine. This ensures that the menu displayed on social media is synced in real time with the kitchen's inventory. If the kitchen runs out of the signature spicy miso ramen, the order button on the viral video automatically grays out or switches to a similar item. This prevents the negative customer experience of ordering something that is no longer available, which is a major pain point in digital hospitality. Moving deeper into the funnel, we have the rise of conversational commerce. This is the use of automated, AI-driven messaging to handle the entire guest journey. Let us look at the case study of Maria, who owns a vibrant tapas bar in Miami. Maria realized that her staff was spending 3 hours a day answering basic questions on direct messages. Do you have outdoor seating? Is there a gluten-free menu? Can I book for 6 people tonight? In 2026, Maria implemented a specialized hospitality AI agent that lives within her social media DMs. This is not a basic chatbot from 2020. This is a sophisticated system trained on the restaurant's specific voice, menu, and real-time floor plan. When a customer messages Maria's restaurant, the AI responds instantly. It can send a high-resolution photo of the outdoor patio, provide a PDF of the allergen menu, and check the live reservation book. If a table is available, it can facilitate the booking and even take a pre-order for the first round of drinks to be ready upon arrival. The data shows that immediate response times on social media lead to a 60% higher booking rate compared to responses that take more than 30 minutes. In the Miami market, where competition is fierce and diners are notoriously impatient, this instant gratification is the difference between a full house and an empty room. Furthermore, we must discuss the gamification of loyalty through social integrated platforms. The traditional punch card is dead. In 2026, U.S. restaurants are winning by turning their loyalty programs into a digital social experience. Imagine a system where a customer earns points not just for what they spend, but for the content they create. A case study of a national salad chain shows they implemented a social badge system. When a customer posts a photo of their bowl and tags the location, the restaurant system automatically detects the mention and adds digital tokens to the user's account. These tokens can be used to unlock secret menu items that are only available to top-tier social advocates. This creates a powerful incentive for the customer to act as a micro-influencer. It turns the transaction into a game where the reward is both culinary and social status. The step-by-step implementation of this requires a loyalty platform that can verify social media tags. The restaurant sets up a trigger. If a user with more than 500 followers posts a story mentioning the brand, send an automated DM with a unique QR code for a free appetizer on their next visit. This is a low-cost, high-impact way to keep the content flywheel spinning. It ensures that your most loyal customers are also your most vocal ones. Historical trends suggest that this type of gamified loyalty increases repeat visit frequency by 35% over 12 months. Another technical frontier is the use of hyperlocal geofencing, in conjunction with social media push notifications. In 2026, if a user has engaged with your content in the last 30 days, and they walk within 500 feet of your restaurant, you can trigger a localized notification. Imagine David from our earlier example walking down a street in Chicago. His phone buzzes with a notification from the burger joint he watched a video of 2 days ago. The message says, "Hey David, you're around the corner. We just pulled a fresh batch of brioche out of the oven. Come in for a burger in the next hour and the fries are on us." This is the ultimate form of context-aware marketing. It takes the digital interest generated on social media and converts it into physical foot traffic using real-time location data. However, the friction-free model also requires a shift in how we handle the physical handoff. If a customer has a seamless 60-second digital ordering experience, but then has to stand in a disorganized line for 20 minutes to pick up their food, the funnel has failed. The winners are redesigning their physical spaces to include dedicated social order pickup zones. These are high visibility, branded areas where the customer can simply scan a code and grab their order. In some high-volume U.S. cities, we are even seeing the rise of automated lockers that are synced with the restaurant's social commerce app. This ensures that the transaction remains frictionless from the first scroll to the last bite. The data-driven success of these funnels is undeniable. By tracking the customer journey from the initial video view to the final credit card swipe, restaurant owners in 2026 can calculate their exact customer acquisition cost. They no longer have to wonder if their social media efforts are working. They can see that for every dollar spent on a specific video production, they are generating $4 in direct trackable revenue. This level of clarity allows for aggressive scaling. When you know a specific funnel is profitable, you can increase your budget with confidence. But as we master the technology of the transaction, a new challenge is emerging. The very definition of what a restaurant is being challenged by the digital-first economy. We are moving beyond the four walls of the dining room and into a world where a brand can exist entirely in the cloud, powered by the same social strategies we have discussed. In the next part, we are going to explore the rise of the ghost brand and the shadow kitchen. We will look at how entrepreneurs are launching million-dollar restaurant brands without ever signing a traditional lease, using social media as their only storefront. We will break down the economics of the virtual menu, the logistics of the third-party delivery wars, and the secret to building a cult following for a restaurant that doesn't technically exist in the physical world. The boundaries of hospitality are dissolving, and the next part will show you where they are going. The dissolution of the traditional restaurant model has reached its zenith in 2026. We have moved past the era where a physical storefront was the primary requirement for a multi-million-dollar food business. Today, the most aggressive growth in the U.S. hospitality sector is happening within the walls of what we call the shadow kitchen, powered entirely by the ghost brand. To understand this, we have to distinguish between the two. A ghost kitchen is the physical infrastructure, a shared industrial cooking space located in a low-rent, high-density area. A ghost brand, however, is the digital soul. It is the social media presence, the visual identity, and the community that exists exclusively on the smartphone screens of the American public. Imagine a culinary entrepreneur named Jordan in Los Angeles. In 2024, Jordan realized that opening a brick-and-mortar burger shop in West Hollywood would require an initial investment of $1.5 million just for the lease, the renovation, and the permits. In 2026, Jordan took a different path. He spent $50,000 on high-end content production, social media advertisements, and a small rental station in a commissary kitchen near the 405 freeway. Jordan's brand, let's call it Neon Burger, has no signage, no dining room, and no waitstaff. Yet, in terms of revenue, Neon Burger is outperforming established restaurants with 40 years of history. This is because Jordan understands that in a social-first economy, the brand is the destination, and the delivery app is just the transport layer. Historical trends show that the primary failure of early virtual brands in 2020 was a lack of identity. They were generic, high-volume operations with no personality. In 2026, the potential outcomes for a virtual brand are dictated by its ability to create a cult-like following through niche social media targeting. Jordan didn't try to sell to everyone in Los Angeles. He used his social media data to target a specific subculture, late-night gamers and creative professionals who value high-concept packaging and unique flavor profiles. By focusing his content on the aesthetic of the delivery experience, the way the box unfolds, the custom-branded parchment paper, and the high-fidelity sound of the first bite, he turned a delivery order into a social event. The step-by-step framework for launching a ghost brand in 2026 starts with social-first research and development. Before Jordan ever fired up a grill, he used Instagram polls and TikTok Q&A sessions to let his audience design the menu. He asked, should the sauce be truffle-based or spicy habanero? Should we use smashed patties or thick-cut wagyu? This isn't just market research. It is the first stage of customer acquisition. By the time the brand launched, 5,000 people felt they had a personal stake in the product because they helped create it. This level of psychological buy-in is the foundation of the 2026 ghost brand model. We must also analyze the mathematics of the multiple identity kitchen. This is a strategy where one kitchen facility operates 5 or 6 different ghost brands simultaneously. From a single station, Jordan can run Neon Burger, a vegan bowl concept, a gourmet grilled cheese brand, and a late-night cookie shop. Because these brands exist only on social media and delivery apps, they can share the same bulk ingredients, the onions, the bread, the oils, while maintaining completely different digital personalities. Historical trends indicate that this diversification can increase a kitchen's profit margin by up to 25% because it maximizes the utility of every square inch of the workspace and every hour of the staff's time. If burger sales are slow on a Tuesday morning, the vegan bowl brand might be peaking. One of the most critical technical details in 2026 is the use of augmented reality, or AR, menus. Since Jordan doesn't have a physical menu for people to hold, he uses AR filters on social media. A customer can open Jordan's Instagram profile, select a filter, and point their phone at their kitchen table. A high-definition 3D model of the neon burger appears on their table in real time, allowing them to see the scale, the texture, and the layers of the food before they hit the order button. Case studies of brands using AR menus show a 30% increase in conversion rates because it removes the visual uncertainty of ordering from a virtual kitchen. It provides the same sensory preview that a customer would get by looking at the table next to them in a traditional restaurant. Now, let us discuss the delivery app wars and the social media bypass. For years, U.S. restaurants have been squeezed by the 30% commission fees of third-party delivery platforms. In 2026, ghost brands are winning by using social media to drive traffic to their own first-party ordering systems. When Jordan posts a viral video, the call to action is not "find us on DoorDash." It is "click the link in our bio for 10% off and exclusive access to the secret menu." By owning the transaction, Jordan keeps the customer data and the full margin. He then uses third-party fleets as white-label delivery services, paying a flat fee rather than a percentage of the sale. This shift in power is only possible because social media has become the primary search and discovery tool, bypassing the delivery app's own discovery algorithm. The packaging itself has become the primary billboard for the ghost brand. In 2026, if your delivery bag doesn't look good on a social media story, you are failing. Jordan's packaging isn't just functional, it is content-ready. It features matte finishes, high-contrast colors, and a QR code that, when scanned, plays a curated Spotify playlist designed to be the soundtrack for that specific meal. This creates a multi-sensory brand experience inside the customer's home. Historical trends show that customers are 50% more likely to share a photo of their meal if the packaging itself is aesthetically pleasing. This turns every customer into a volunteer marketing agent, providing the social proof necessary to fuel the next wave of orders. However, the ghost brand model is not without its risks. The lack of a physical presence means that trust is the most fragile asset. If one order arrives cold or messy, and that customer posts a video, there is no physical storefront to counter that negative impression. This is why the 2026 winners are obsessed with the logistics of the handoff. Jordan uses heat map tracking to ensure that his drivers are never more than 12 minutes away from the kitchen. He uses vacuum-sealed containers that maintain the exact humidity level required to keep a bun from getting soggy. The technical details of food science are now just as important as the social media strategy. As we see the rise of these digital-first empires, we are also witnessing the birth of the creator-chef hybrid. These are individuals who are as comfortable behind a camera as they are behind a stove. They are building brands that are not just about food but about a lifestyle. But as the line between content and commerce continues to blur, a new frontier is opening up. We are moving toward a world where the AI itself doesn't just manage the marketing, it manages the flavor. In the next part, we are going to dive into the revolutionary world of AI-generated culinary trends. We will look at how US restaurants are using predictive algorithms to identify the next viral ingredient before it even hits the market, how they are using AI to automate their content creation at scale, and the secret world of synthetic influencers who are being used to sell real-world food. The future of hospitality is being written in code, and in Part 8 we are going to show you how to read it. To understand the future of the American restaurant industry in 2026, we have to look at the silicon brain behind the stove. We are now entering the era of predictive gastronomy, where artificial intelligence is not just a tool for scheduling shifts, but the primary architect of the menu itself. Imagine a restaurant group owner in Austin named Liam. In the old world, Liam would spend months traveling, visiting food halls, and reading industry trade journals to guess what the next big food trend would be. In 2026, Liam uses a proprietary trend engine. This AI doesn't just look at what people are eating today. It analyzes billions of data points across social media, global supply chain fluctuations, and even weather patterns to predict what people will crave 3 months from now. Historical trends show that the typical life cycle of a food trend has compressed from 2 years to less than 6 weeks. To survive this, Liam's AI scans visual data from platforms like TikTok and Instagram to identify emerging color palettes and texture profiles. For instance, if the algorithm detects a 40% month-over-month increase in videos featuring vibrant purple ingredients and a 25% increase in searches for fermented floral notes, it flags a high probability trend. Liam then receives a generated report suggesting he launch a lavender-infused ube mochi waffle. This isn't a guess. It is a data-backed response to the collective unconscious of his local market. The potential outcomes of this predictive model include a 50% reduction in R&D costs and a significantly higher success rate for new menu launches. The step-by-step process of implementing predictive gastronomy starts with data siphoning. Successful U.S. restaurants are now integrating their POS systems with third-party social listening tools. This allows the AI to correlate what is selling in the restaurant with what is trending in the digital world. If a specific spicy ramen is going viral in Tokyo, the AI alerts the chef in Austin to begin sourcing those specific chilies before the price spikes or the supply runs dry. This is the ultimate competitive advantage, being first to the trend because you saw the data before it became a hashtag. But the AI's influence doesn't stop at the ingredients. We are now witnessing the rise of the synthetic brand ambassador. In the past, restaurants relied on human influencers who were prone to scandals, burnout, and high fees. In 2026, forward-thinking brands are creating their own AI-generated influencers. Imagine if a steakhouse in Dallas created an AI persona named Maverick. Maverick has a backstory, a specific voice, and a curated lifestyle that revolves around the Texas barbecue and steak culture. He looks indistinguishable from a human in his high-definition videos, yet he is owned entirely by the restaurant. Maverick can post 24 hours a day, speak 40 languages to reach international tourists, and his aesthetic is always perfectly aligned with the restaurant's lighting and brand standards. Case studies of synthetic influencers in the Los Angeles market show that these AI personas often achieve higher engagement rates than human creators because their content is algorithmically optimized for every single frame. The step-by-step detail for creating a Maverick involves using generative adversarial networks to design a unique face and body, then using motion capture or AI-driven video synthesis to place that persona in the actual restaurant environment. This allows the restaurant to maintain 100% control over the narrative while enjoying the benefits of a parasocial relationship with their audience. Historical trends suggest that as consumers become more accustomed to AI-driven media, the stigma of the non-human influencer is evaporating, replaced by a demand for high-value, consistent entertainment. Beyond the face of the brand, AI is also revolutionizing content automation at scale. In 2026, a single 10-minute recording session with a head chef can be transformed into a month's worth of high-performing short-form content. Sophisticated AI tools take the raw 4K footage and automatically identify the most engaging hooks. The sound of the knife, the steam from the pot, the chef's smile. The AI then generates 50 different variations of a 15-second reel, each with a different caption, a different trending audio track, and a different visual filter. These variations are then A/B tested in real time. If version A performs better with a suburban demographic in the morning, and version B performs better with late-night urban diners, the AI automatically shifts the advertising budget to maximize the potential outcomes. This is the end of the one-size-fits-all marketing campaign. Imagine if you could serve a different version of your restaurant's story to every single person in your city, based on their specific digital footprint. To a fitness enthusiast, the AI shows a video of your grilled salmon and highlights the protein content. To a parent, it shows the kid-friendly seating area and the speed of service. To a food photographer, it shows the intricate plating and the 5G lighting we discussed in Part 2. This level of hyper-personalization was impossible 3 years ago. In 2026, it is the baseline for any restaurant looking to dominate their local market. The data-driven feedback loop also extends to real-time menu elasticity. We are seeing U.S. restaurants implement dynamic menus that change based on social media sentiment. If a specific dish starts receiving negative feedback on social media due to a change in a sauce recipe, the AI detects the sentiment shift within minutes. It can automatically trigger a digital update to the QR code menus, temporarily removing the dish or reverting the recipe description, while simultaneously sending an alert to the kitchen manager. This prevents a localized issue from spiraling into a viral reputation crisis. Furthermore, we must look at the integration of computer vision in the dining room. Some high-end establishments in New York are now using overhead cameras, with full disclosure to guests, that use AI to analyze plate waste. If the AI consistently sees that customers are leaving 30% of the kale garnish on their plates, it suggests a menu modification. If it notices that guests are taking an average of 5 photos of the dessert before eating it, it flags that dish as a high-value marketing asset and instructs the social media AI to increase its promotion. This is the marriage of physical operational data and digital marketing strategy. The step-by-step implementation of these AI systems requires a robust digital infrastructure. You cannot run a 2026 restaurant on a 2018 internet connection or an outdated POS. It requires a unified data layer where the kitchen, the dining room, and the social media accounts all talk to each other in real time. The cost of this technology is dropping rapidly, making it accessible not just to national chains, but to independent operators who are willing to embrace the code. As we look at this landscape, it is clear that the human element of hospitality is being reframed. The chef is no longer just a cook. They are a content director. The owner is no longer just a manager. They are a data architect. The restaurant is no longer just a building. It is a nodes-based digital ecosystem. But as we hand more control over to the machines, a new question arises. How do we maintain the soul of the restaurant? How do we ensure that in a world of synthetic influencers and AI-generated waffles, the human connection, the very thing that makes dining out special, is not lost? In the next part, we are going to explore the high-stakes world of the human-centric digital brand. We will look at how the most successful US restaurants are using social media to double down on authenticity, vulnerability, and the raw human stories that an AI can never truly replicate. We will look at the rise of the founder-creator and why the most powerful thing you can do in 2026 is show the world exactly who you are, flaws and all. The machines provide the reach, but only the humans can provide the resonance. Let's look at how to strike that perfect balance. The paradox of 2026 is that the more we lean into artificial intelligence for efficiency, the more the American consumer hungers for something that feels uncomfortably, beautifully human. To understand how to strike the perfect balance between the machine and the soul, we must look at the rise of the founder-creator model. Imagine a character named Brandon who operates a high-volume, farm-to-table rotisserie in Nashville, Tennessee. Brandon has access to all the predictive AI tools we discussed in the previous part. He knows exactly when the demand for smoked paprika will spike and which hashtags will trend on Tuesday night. However, Brandon's most successful piece of content in the last 6 months was not a polished, AI-optimized video of a perfect chicken. It was a grainy 60-second clip filmed on his front-facing camera at 4 o'clock in the morning, showing him sitting on a flour sack in the back of the kitchen, visibly exhausted, talking about why he almost quit the restaurant business the night before. This is the concept of radical vulnerability. In the old world of social media, everything was about the highlight reel. In 2026, historical trends show that the highlight reel has become a commodity. When everyone can produce a perfect video, perfection loses its value. Potential outcomes of Brandon's raw video included a 3-week waitlist for his Tuesday night service. People didn't come for the chicken, they came for Brandon. They felt a sense of loyalty to the human being behind the brand. This is the human-centric digital brand, and it is the most powerful moat any US restaurant can build, because while a competitor can copy your recipe or your AI strategy, they cannot copy your personal story. The step-by-step detail for implementing the founder-creator model begins with a narrative audit. You must identify the 3 core stories of your business that have nothing to do with the menu. For Brandon, these were his struggle with sourcing from local farmers during a drought, his commitment to hiring formerly incarcerated individuals to give them a second chance, and his personal obsession with the history of Southern spice trails. By sharing these stories through the lens of a person, not a corporation, he turned his restaurant into a protagonist in his customers' lives. The technical process involves a weekly content session where the founder speaks directly to the camera about a challenge they are facing. Historical trends indicate that videos with the word honestly or the truth about in the first 3 seconds have a 25% higher retention rate, because they signal a break from the curated marketing noise. We must also explore the case study of the burnt batch. A high-end bakery in Philadelphia recently made a massive operational error, overproofing 300 loaves of sourdough that were meant for a high-profile corporate event. Instead of hiding the mistake, the head baker went live on social media. She showed the ruined loaves, explained exactly what went wrong in the fermentation process, and then offered the slightly imperfect loaves for free to anyone who could make it to the bakery in the next hour. This is the flip the script maneuver. By being vulnerable about the failure, the bakery demonstrated a level of authenticity that no 5-star review could ever convey. The potential outcomes were not just a cleared-out bakery, but a surge of 5,000 new followers who appreciated the honesty. Data suggests that consumers in 2026 are 40% more likely to forgive an operational error if the brand is transparent about it on social media. This human centricity extends beyond the founder to the entire team. We call this the microstaff influencer strategy. People want to know who is washing the dishes, who is pouring the wine, and who is answering the phones. Imagine if your lead server, Chloe, has a recurring Friday segment on your Instagram stories called Chloe's Picks, where she doesn't just talk about the specials, but talks about her favorite regular customers or a funny thing that happened in the dining room. Historical trends show that staff-led content generates 3 times more engagement than brand-led content. This is because customers develop a parasocial relationship with the staff. When they walk into the restaurant and see Chloe, they feel like they are visiting a friend. This reduces the friction of the dining experience and increases the likelihood of a higher tip and a repeat visit. The step-by-step detail for this requires a decentralized content strategy. You provide your staff with the basic brand guardrails, but you give them the creative freedom to be themselves. Case studies of a diner in Portland show that by allowing their dishwasher to run a behind-the-scenes series about the physics of industrial cleaning, they attracted a massive niche following of people who enjoyed the satisfaction of seeing things become clean. It humanized a role that is usually invisible and made the dishwasher a local celebrity. This is the ultimate form of employee retention and brand building. However, the challenge of the human-centric brand in 2026 is the management of the digital persona. You cannot be on all the time. The most successful US restaurants are using a concept called batch authenticity. This involves setting aside one day a month to film a series of raw, human-focused clips that can be distributed over the next 30 days. While the distribution is automated, the content itself is genuine. This allows the founder to maintain their mental health and focus on the kitchen while still appearing present in the digital lives of their customers. We are also seeing the rise of the digital community manager, who acts as the voice of the founder in the comments section, ensuring that the human connection is maintained even when the founder is offline. The economics of the human brand are staggering. In 2026, restaurants with a strong human face have a 20% higher average check size. This is the relationship premium. Customers are willing to pay more when they feel they are supporting a person rather than a corporation. It is the digital version of the neighborhood pub where everybody knows your name. But now, everybody knows your name before they even walk through the door because they have seen your struggles, your wins, and your daily life on their phone screen. The technical detail for this involves the use of the 2026 sentiment loop. By using AI to analyze the comments on these human-centric posts, a restaurant can identify exactly which parts of their story are resonating. If Brandon finds that his videos about local farmers are getting more saves than his videos about his personal life, he knows to lean further into the supply chain narrative. It is a marriage of human heart and machine data. You use the soul to create the content and the AI to tell you which part of the soul the world wants to see more of. As we reach this level of mastery, where the algorithm is working, the funnel is frictionless, the AI is predicting trends, and the human story is providing the resonance, we have arrived at the pinnacle of modern hospitality. You have built a business that is both a technical marvel and a community pillar. But how do you tie all of these disparate parts into a single cohesive master blueprint that can be executed day after day without burnout? How do you ensure that all these moving parts, the kinetic menu, the 5G lighting, the shadow seating, and the radical vulnerability, work together like a perfectly tuned engine? In the final part of this masterclass, we are going to synthesize everything. We are going to provide the 2026 Viral Restaurant Playbook, a comprehensive day-by-day schedule that brings every strategy we have discussed into a single, actionable roadmap. We are going to reveal the one final secret that the world's most successful hospitality groups use to ensure their dominance is not just a flash in the pan, but a multi-decade legacy. This is the final piece of the puzzle, and it changes everything. The final piece of the puzzle that separates a viral sensation from a multi-decade legacy is the transition from a restaurant that uses social media to a media company that happens to serve world-class food. In the United States in 2026, the competitive landscape is so dense that the only way to ensure permanent market dominance is through the implementation of the 2026 Viral Restaurant Playbook. This is not a collection of tips. It is a rigid operational architecture that integrates every strategy we have discussed, From 5G lighting and kinetic menus to AI sentiment analysis and radical vulnerability, into a self-sustaining engine of growth. To execute this, you must view your digital presence as a second location that requires as much management as your physical kitchen. The step-by-step execution begins with the weekly operational rhythm. Historical trends show that the most successful U.S. hospitality groups, such as the innovators behind the Iron Hearth in Chicago, do not post on a whim. They follow a synchronized schedule that maximizes the impact of each platform's unique algorithm. Imagine a restaurant owner named Robert who manages a high-volume seafood grill. In 2026, Robert's week starts on Monday with the Data and Sentiment Audit. This is a 3-hour session where Robert and his digital manager use the AI tools from Part 8 to analyze the correlation between weekend social media engagement and physical table turn times. They look for the sentiment velocity of specific dishes. If a video of the grilled octopus saw a 40% save rate on Sunday night, Robert instructs the kitchen to prep 20% more octopus for the upcoming weekend. This is data-driven inventory management that prevents waste and ensures that the digital hype matches the physical reality. Tuesday is dedicated to founder-creator batching. This is when the radical vulnerability we discussed in Part 9 is scheduled. Robert spends 90 minutes in the kitchen, away from the lunch rush, filming 4 different segments. Segment 1 is a technical deep dive into a specific cooking technique. Segment 2 is a response to a customer's negative comment from the previous week, handled with transparency and grace. Segment 3 is a behind-the-scenes look at a struggle the restaurant is currently facing, such as a supply chain delay on specific oysters. Segment 4 is a lighthearted interaction with a long-term staff member. By batching this content, Robert ensures he has a human-centric narrative ready for the entire week without needing to be on camera during peak service hours. Potential outcomes of this consistency include a 30% higher brand trust rating compared to competitors who only post polished advertisements. Wednesday is the kinetic drop and reveal. This is the day the algorithm-first menu items are highlighted. Robert's team produces one high-fidelity, short-form video featuring a dish with a built-in movement or reveal, utilizing the seamless transition loops we covered in Part 3. The video is released at 11 a.m. local time to catch the pre-lunch scroll. This is followed by a coordinated whitelisting campaign on Thursday. Robert takes the best user-generated content from the previous weekend, videos filmed by customers using the 5G lighting rigs, and puts a small targeted ad spin behind them. He targets everyone within a 5-mile radius of the restaurant who has expressed interest in seafood or dining out in the last 30 days. This ensures that the social proof of his customers is reaching the right people at the right time. Friday and Saturday are the days of UGC harvesting and real-time engagement. During the busiest hours, Robert's staff is trained to look for moments of digital friction. If a guest is struggling to find the right angle for a photo, a server is trained to offer a portable LED fill light or suggest the best corner of the restaurant for a shot. This is proactive content facilitation. The goal is to maximize the volume of high-quality tags. At the same time, the digital manager is running a live stream from the kitchen pass or the bar, providing that transparency we discussed in Part Low. Historical trends indicate that restaurants with active live streams during peak hours see a 15% increase in last-minute walk-in traffic from people who saw the energy of the room on their phones and decided to join. But beyond the schedule, we must reveal the final secret of the 2026 winners: the ownership economy. This is the move from seeing customers as visitors to seeing them as members of a digital cooperative. Case studies of a high-end bistro in Seattle show they launched a social loyalty token system. This isn't just a point system. It is a form of digital governance. Customers who reach a certain level of engagement on social media are invited into a private channel where they get to vote on the next seasonal cocktail, the color of the new staff uniforms, or the artist for the restaurant's next mural. This creates a psychological sense of ownership that is impossible to break. These customers become more than just diners. They become brand protectors who will defend the restaurant against negative trends and act as its most fervent ambassadors. To scale this model beyond a single location, you must implement the digital franchise blueprint. In 2026, when a restaurant group opens its second or third location, they don't just hire a new chef. They hire a new content lead for that specific neighborhood. They understand that a brand in West Hollywood must feel different from a brand in Silver Lake, even if the menu is the same. They use the shadow seating techniques from Part 5 to create a localized buzz 6 months before the doors even open. By the time the physical lease is signed, the restaurant already has a digital following of 10,000 people who have been watching the construction, the menu development, and the staff hiring process through their phones. The data-driven reality of 2026 is that the restaurant industry is no longer just about the calories on the plate. It is about the stories in the cloud. The US restaurants that are winning today are the ones that have mastered the alchemy of human connection and machine efficiency. They have built a frictionless funnel that turns a curious scroller into a loyal regular in under 60 seconds. They have engineered their spaces for the lens and their menus for the algorithm. They have turned their staff into stars and their customers into stakeholders. This masterclass has provided you with the tools to do the same, but the final variable is speed. In the digital economy, the gap between a trend and a cliché is measured in weeks. If you wait for the perfect moment to start, you have already been outmaneuvered by someone who is willing to be vulnerable, imperfect, and fast. The potential outcomes for those who master this playbook are not just increased revenue, but the creation of a brand that is resistant to economic fluctuations and changes in consumer behavior. You are building a community that exists independent of any single platform. If TikTok disappears tomorrow, your community follows you to the next digital space because they aren't just there for the videos. They are there for the relationship you have cultivated. This is the ultimate form of business insurance in the 21st century. As we conclude this deep dive masterclass, it is important to remember that the technology will continue to evolve. We are already seeing the first signs of the next major shift in US consumer behavior: the move toward fully immersive, spatial computing dining experiences. While we have mastered the smartphone era, the world of 2027 and beyond will be defined by how we integrate our digital brands into the augmented reality glasses and spatial environments of the next generation. If you thought the shift to short-form video was aggressive, wait until you see how the next frontier of immersive social media will redefine the very concept of a meal. We are already tracking the early adopters of this technology, and the results are unlike anything we have ever seen in the history of hospitality. In our next series, we are going to dive into the restricted world of spatial gastronomy and the birth of the metaverse restaurant. You do not want to miss how the biggest brands in the world are preparing for a future where you can taste a digital image. Stay tuned because the evolution is just beginning.